guys, what's up? Check out this sweet grocery getter. It's a rare 70 Olds Vista Cruiser with something special under the hood. Only 2 were made, and the guy who built the motor is one of the heroes of hot rodding who will join me on the show later on. Here's what's coming up. On horsepower, it's a salute to Smokey Unick and his fierce Fiero. What's not to like about a 69 Hemi 4-speed? The rare Super B later on MuscleCar. A junk Toyota, 20 kids, Ian and Jesse equals 1 radical rock crawler. And on trucks, it's clipped, slammed, and jammed. Part 3 of Project Old School. You want performance how-to? We've got it right here on Spike.
Hey, welcome to Horsepower, where over the years we've used our chassis dynos like the new one here to measure horsepower at the rear wheels. But you know, that's just part of a power testing equation. You need a state-of-the-art engine dyno to build motors and maximize their power. So, say hello to our brand new horsepower dyno cell.
Inside, we've got a DTS PowerMark engine dyno with a continuous capacity of 2,000 horsepower, 1,500 foot-pounds of torque, and 15,000 RPM. Now, we know some engine builders who have measured more than 2,500 horsepower on this equipment. Today, we're going to take some of the mystery out of the engine dynos and show you how you can free up a bunch of extra horsepower using this type of equipment. But first, here's an animation to give you a heads up on how it all works. The twisting force an engine makes is called torque. And to measure it accurately, a dynamometer acts like a giant water brake. The engine's crankshaft gets connected to the dyno's impeller housing. Water inside the housing creates resistance, making it hard to turn the crankshaft. This heats up the water and puts a serious load on the impeller housing as it literally tries to rotate off the dyno's frame. A force transducer bolted between the housing and the frame measures the rotational strain, which the computer translates into torque and horsepower. The hot water gets pumped back to the main storage tank for reuse. While most of the dyno's water is used to absorb torque, some of it regulates engine temperature. All of this makes for an accurate, efficient, and consistent dyno test system. Well, that gives you an idea of how it all works, but to make it work efficiently, there's a lot more to it, like this room it's sitting in. It needs to be a place that's a controlled environment, one that's safe, and a place that can contain the noise. Oh, by the way, here's a little look at how all this was put together.
Industrial Noise Control pre-engineered a dyno test room for our shop that was easy to erect. After laying out the footprint, they attached perimeter channels to the floor, followed by steel wall panels. The 4-inch panels have thousands of perforations to channel sound into layers of noise-absorbing mineral wool, gypsum, and fiberglass. The room also includes dual-pane safety windows, a magnetically sealed door, and the same acoustic panels for the ceiling. The test cell reduces engine noise up to 40 decibels. It also has a roof plenum with a powerful fan that draws in fresh air and evacuates heat and exhaust gas through a silenced exhaust stack. It's a high-flow ventilation system that exchanges all of the air in the room every 6 seconds. Now, to give you an idea just how much noise this cell keeps from the rest of the shop, let's try something. Go ahead, fire it up. Remember the 572 from our Supernova? Well, it's running open headers. This is going to be really loud. See? Now, let's come outside, close the door. Can you hear me now? A lot better, huh? Meanwhile, here at the console, our dyno operator, Mutz, just died to make a pull on that big rat. Go ahead and do your thing.
Joe, this thing's rocking. We just got 740 horsepower and 725 foot-pounds of torque.
Well, that's more than I expected. Now, other than torque and horsepower, what else can we monitor here?
The DTS dyno can monitor 50 data channels. Right now I've got it set up to show the usual stuff like engine RPM, fuel pressure, oil pressure, and water temperature. All of those are things you can see on your dashboard. Now here's some of the stuff that only a dyno can tell you. Right here I've got fuel flow in gallons per hour, air-fuel ratio on both the left and right side of the motors, your brake-specific fuel consumption, and even engine vacuum at the carburetor.
All stuff that can affect horsepower.
You bet.
Now here's how we get that information back to the computer. Sensors run from the engine back up to this red box where the information is processed, then transferred to the console. Now here's another cool feature about this dyno. It uses a lot of interchangeable performance parts like a high torque starter, multiple adjustable fuel regulators, and a high performance digital ignition system with an external coil. Here's how we feed each motor we test. An 8-gallon Jazz fuel cell feeding into a 1.5 horsepower AC driven fuel pump from Weldon. Now this thing can supply 3,000 horsepower on gasoline.
Man, what a milestone for horsepower. Our own engine dyno right here in the shop, and we plan to use it from time to time to test all kinds of parts and combinations that can help you in your hunt for horsepower. In fact, the search begins with this guy right after the break. You don't want to miss it.
It's a treat today because one of the true heroes of hot rodding is in the house. For 50 years, he's built engines for everybody from Big Daddy to Carroll Shelby. Today, Joe Mondello is our guest, and he toured the tech center earlier. He stopped in horsepower to talk cylinder heads with Joe Elmore. You'll get to meet him coming up.
Hey, welcome back to Horsepower, where we just introduced our new DTS dyno housed in this room built by Industrial Noise Control. On our first test run earlier, we got 740 horsepower from a 572 Chevy Big Block.
If you ever book dyno time for your engine, chances are you'll want to try out all kinds of parts in your hunt for horsepower, like carbs, headers, rockers, you name it. Well, right now, we're going to try out a couple of interesting camshaft options using this small block Chevy. It's a 9-to-1 compression 406 built for racing. Underneath the Holley 950 and Victor Jr. manifold is a set of Airflow Research heads, an Eagle rotating assembly, and coated JE pistons. It also has one of these. It's a laser hydraulic roller with 246 duration at 50 thousandths lift. The only difference is this cam has lobes that are set up so that cylinders 4 and 7 change places in the firing order.
Now we've heard we can make more horsepower using an engine like this by just swapping the firing order of the cam. Now keep this in mind, that is using the same exact cam specs. After we bolt the motor onto our docking cart, it's off to the dyno cell. Of course, we're going to first baseline the motor with the standard firing order cam that's in it now.
Okay, Mutt, what did we get?
Joe, we got 507 foot-pounds of torque, 495 horsepower, and remember, all that's on 87 octane.
By the way, I used this sound level meter outside the cell during that run, and we got 82 decibels. Now, before we swap the cams out, what do you say we make one more run and measure the noise in here during a full sweep? Wow, 120 decibels inside the cell. That's about equal to a jet plane taxiing down the runway. Well, after letting the engine cool down, we first remove the carburetor, pull the distributor, pop off the valve covers, and remove the intake manifold. We remove the water pump, pull off the balancer, followed by the belt drive. Then we can take off the rockers so we can remove the push rods and lifters. Finally, the camshaft's ready to come out of the motor.
While I get the laser replacement ready to install, here's a look at what it's actually going to do. It's going to change the standard Chevy firing order from this to this. And that's why they call it the 4-7 swap. After this install, we'll button up the motor, degree the cam, and we'll be ready for another run. Wow, 528 horsepower. Now that's a gain of 33. Although the 4.7 cam did cost us an extra $90, you can't beat that sacrifice for the extra horsepower.
Man, I'll say. Now, why does it work? Well, the guys at Laser tell us they believe the new firing order promotes a little better flow of air and fuel into the cylinders. Either way, the dyno don't lie. Hey, you ready for a road trip?
If I'm driving.
You are. Now, we're going to take you to the coolest reunion of historic old hot rods you've ever seen.
A place where you'll fit right in.
Cool it, Park.
Well, really, what we have here is kind of representative of the various fields of motorsports, not just drag racing, but different ones that kind of relate to our roots.
Wally Parks, one of the most prominent pioneers of hot rodding, and the man behind this landmark NHRA museum in Pomona, California. It's a fascinating hub full of high-performance history, but once a year, that history comes alive and heads east to Kentucky. Welcome to the annual Hot Rod Reunion, a celebration of speed, cool rides, and hot racing history. It's a one-of-a-kind event that attracts thousands of cars and car people.
I like the diversity because anything you want, it's here. Whether it's restored originals or street rods or rat rods, they're all here. There's something here for everybody.
Yeah, like drag racers. Watching the quarter-mile competition at Beach Bend is like traveling back in time, with nostalgic hot rods competing for trophies and bragging rights, bringing back muscle car memories for the fans. Plus, where else can you find a young man like this pinstriping like the old-timers did it back in the 50s?
You know, as far back as I can remember, I've been fascinated with this and the dyeing aspect of it, because it's really a dyeing art. There's not a lot of people doing it now. A lot of guys, you know, draw patterns out and use stencils for some of this stuff, but if you watch any of the true pinstripers, they all do it freehand.
One of the coolest things about this reunion is being able to get up close and personal with some of the cars and drivers who made racing history, whether it was on the circle track, salt flats, or the drag strip.
Yeah, here's one of the Barracudas the late Ronnie Sox drove to Superstock fame on the strip, and a '63 Mercury that Parnelli Jones made winning runs with on the oval tracks. Recognize the Hemi? Well, if not, you'll definitely identify the Swamp Rat Dragster, one of the many that Don Garlitz drove into the racing history books.
And it's fun to have been there since the beginning, seeing this thing grow into this unbelievable sport that it is today, from just some guys racing their cars on the street.
The reunion's Grand Marshal is Barb Hamilton, first woman to get a license to race a supercharged hot rod by the NHRA.
Everything we did back then was built in the garage or the backyard. We had to fabricate most of the parts we used. We built our own short blocks, did our own headwork. So I love the racing today, but I'm glad I raced when I did. I think we had a little bit more fun and it was a little less business back then.
Nelson Stoltz also raced wheelies back in the 60s and recalls how dangerous his sport used to be.
He was off the strip half the time, and you know, you'd wonder whether it was going to raise off the ground at the other end or not, because they all set real high in the air.
How you doing?
Great time.
Nice ride here.
Thank you.
With acres and acres of cool rods to check out, it would take days to take them all in. It's truly amazing to see how much time, creativity, and money that goes into these machines. So many nice cars. But I gotta tell you, the way these classics and muscle cars are getting so pricey these days, you can understand why rat rods are making a radical comeback.
We can go and have fun in them, not be worried if anybody hits us or a rock pecks anything. We don't have a multi-$1,000 paint job. You know, we can just go have a blast and not worry about it.
The rules for building a rat rod are no rules at all. Just make sure you've got a rodent mascot guarding the ride.
This one likes the Indian head, and he's gnawed pretty much all of it off the top. So we have a great time. We meet so many nice people. We travel all over the place, and all we got to worry about is gas.
I think we just got an idea for our next horsepower project car. But that's no surprise. The Hot Rod Reunion is a great place to get ideas, inspiration, and confidence that the culture of cool cars will live on and never run out of fuel. Welcome back to the shop, where you'd never expect to see an '84 Fiero on our chassis dyno, but this is no ordinary Fiero. It was used by the late Smokey Yunick, to develop a revolutionary hot air engine system that proved to make incredible increases in horsepower and fuel efficiency. Even without a formal education, Smokey became a true mechanical genius and inventor in his career. Early, he built racing engines for Hudson Hornets. Then, as a crafty and cunning crew chief, his cars won over 50 NASCAR races, with famous drivers at the wheel like the legendary Fireball Roberts. Back in a time when the crew chief was a true hands-on guy at the track. His passion for performance also helped him win the Indy 500 in 1960, and he never stopped tinkering and inventing. It was a passion that led him to the hot vapor system in this Fiero. Well, here's that famous Fiero with the famous Smokey-built motor, now in the proud hands of Tony Aller. Hey, thanks for coming by and sharing some of this history with us. In a nutshell, how does this hot vapor system work?
Basically, what it does is the fuel is heated up to about 460 degrees before it enters the intake. The exhaust comes directly out of the combustion chambers over to the turbos where it heats the coolant. The coolant then heats the fuel. The fuel, in return, cools the coolant before it goes over to the thermostat housing.
Part of the secret was this homogenizer that Smokey installed under the stock 2-barrel carburetor.
These brushes are mounted inside. The coolant runs through an orifice in the end of the brushes. The brushes spin at about 150,000 RPMs, thus atomizing the fuel and vaporizing the fuel. The fuel runs through here, heated, into the turbocharger where it's pressurized, into the intake manifold where you have a very efficient pressurized hot vapor charge. 51 miles a gallon. Virtually no emissions, 250 horsepower. You had performance, economy, and low emissions. You really couldn't ask for any more.
Plans to put Smokey's hot vapor invention into production unfortunately fell by the wayside. But it is one piece of proof that Henry Smokey Unick was a creative Imagineer, whose imagination may have been ahead of its time. It looks like Petronix strikes again with their new Second Strike ignition system, the only one providing a powerful secondary spark throughout the entire RPM range. Your original inductive system remains in place for the primary spark. The second one is adjustable with this rotary dial, so you control when it occurs. There's also a high-resolution rev limiter controllable with these dials, so if this system sparks your interest, you can pick up one for about $300.
Are you looking for a good set of GM double hump cylinder heads? Well, you don't have to comb through the dump anymore. Summit has these available for small block Chevrolets. They're cast iron and come assembled with 67cc chambers and 165cc runners. It's a great way to add performance for less than the cost of rebuilding the old set. Oh, by the way, these things are sold individually for about $293 a piece.
Hey, ready to put some color under your hood? Well, if so, you want a paint that can take the heat and more, like Duplicolor's engine enamel. It contains resins that dissipate heat while keeping the gloss. It holds up to temperatures up to 500 degrees, resists fuel and oil, plus won't blister, flake, or peel. Now, if this appeals to you, you can find a variety of OEM and specialty colors in your local parts store. Well, you know where to find us, right here next week with more horsepower. See you then.
We're back on PowerBlock with a question. What do AJ Foyt, Carroll Shelby, Don Garlitz, John Force, and Smokey Unick all have in common? The answer is this man right here, Joe Mondello, the Olds doctor who built the 500 horsepower motor that's in this wagon. Joe, what's your secret to 50 years of building the best cylinder heads?
The secret is airflow and application of cylinder head for every given engine. The ports here are the correct shape and the correct angles of the valve seats, and going back to the KISS theory, keep it simple, stupid. Don't overcomplicate what you're trying to do.
Nice. There you have it, straight from one of the heroes of hot rodding.
Coming up on MuscleCar, the Crate Camaro is back. We built a brand new 69 convertible, and today we turn the key. It's alive! Later, an all-original Hemi, low miles and high performance.
Welcome to MuscleCar. You know, I'm really tired of pushing this thing around, and if everything goes as planned, we won't have to anymore. It's still better than when I first brought it in here. It was in a crate. Year one calls it a reproduction part. I call it a challenge to build an entire car from their catalog, starting with this new '69 Camaro body from Dyno. After pre-fitting paint, it slowly started to come together. Last time you saw it, we hung suspension and reassembled the body. Now there's still a gaggle of stuff that's got to be done, and there's some things that were taken care of since the last time you saw it, but by far the coolest thing is that. A friend of mine, Igor, came into town on some business. He did me a favor while he was here. In case you haven't noticed, he's a pinstriper. He grew up in a family sharing two passions, fast cars and fine art. Igor's destiny was obvious, since all of his school books were flamed. He's been watching the show, he fell in love with the project, and he just wanted to be a part of it. Well, he's part of the project now forever, and I just had to show that to you guys before it got hidden behind the gas tank. We got this thing from Rock Valley, and it's almost art in itself. Stainless steel, internal baffles, and they'll custom make one for anything you got. Now that the gas tank is in, I can finally run my exhaust, because what I'm going to do is fab my own, and for a couple of good reasons. Being that nothing under here is stock, I want to make sure it clears everything, not to mention I like to keep it up against the body so I don't have any clearance issues. If you haven't done this before, it's not that difficult. You just take one piece at a time and make it go where you want it to. I'm using what remains of this 2 1/4 exhaust kit that was left over from a previous job. I place the flow masters where I want them, then I make the pipe come to it. Well, it's been pretty easy up until this point, but now it gets tough. And in my opinion, first generation Camaros and Novas are the biggest pain to get it over the rear end and out the back. If you watched me make the headers for old Blue Hair a few weeks ago, it's really the same process. With both sides done, finish it off. Last time you saw the engine, we finished up the coolant and the AC system. All that's left is the electronics. Not bad considering it too came in a crate. It's a 350 ZZ4 small block from GM Performance. It's good for 350 horse-peak for the Edelbrock Performer RPM manifold and their 600 CFM carb, all flowing through some block hugger headers from Sanderson and topped off with a Vintage Air front runner serpentine setup. Now I've already installed my Mallory Unilite distributor and the coil. Now it's time for my L460E transmission control module from GM. Now these overdrive transmissions have become really popular in the last few years because everybody knows you're taking it in the rump when you're at the pump. After the engine's fired up, we'll program it with our laptop. Now that my plug wires are in place, it's time to put in my battery. Now I'd love to hook this baby up and fire it up, but I can't, because I got to take care of that spaghetti factory where my dashboard's at. Now, I was going to run a stock dash setup, but I decided to go with this one from Covan. It's an injected plastic, and it's even textured like the original ones. And they sell a full line of odometer gauges. I decided to go with the ultralights because they're silver-faced, so they match the stripes. Now, all this wiring, it may look intimidating, but it's really not. Painless does a really good job of marking the wires all throughout the car. And another thing, nobody's repopping these heater control switches, so I went to the junkyard and found myself a good one. Our focus right now is to get just enough done to test fire the engine. That includes putting in the shifter, because we all know that guy who expanded his garage by starting one in gear. This one came from Locar. It's compact, durable, and easy to install. Now before I hook up that battery, I'm going to put butt connectors on all my loose wire ends, just in case any of them get hot. Then I'm going to do all my fluid levels, and don't go away, because when you come back from the break, we're turning the key.
Next on MuscleCar, this is what we've been waiting for.
Go.
The Crate Camaro wakes up.
I'm back with cylinder head legend Joe Mondello. Joe, what is the single most important thing a guy can do for more horsepower?
Degree your camshaft. In today's world, with parts not made in America any longer, degreeing your camshaft is the most essential thing for maximum horsepower and torque.
You heard it, straight from the master.
glad to see you guys made it back. You're just as curious to see if this thing is gonna fire as I am. I got it all wired up. I'll finish up my fluids, and we'll see if we got a hand grenade on our hands. Now, it's been a long time coming, almost a year as a matter of fact, and there's still a lot of cosmetics that have to be done on this thing, but we want to fire it up so you can hear it today. Hit it, Tommy. All right. Remember, this is a new engine. It's never been fired, so it's going to take a little bit of priming and a little bit of timing to wake it up. Go. It's alive! Underneath, I found no leaks. All the gauges are working, and to top it off, the engine sounds solid. Man, that's some good news. The mechanical end of this thing is done, so I can put all my attention to the rest of the project so we can get it on the road. Let's finish off the dash, starting with the pad and the vents, and the remaining switches. Like the seats, some things are not repopped. We got the ashtray and the glove box from Rick's first generation Camaro. And finally, this trim panel and the old chute handle, because you never know when the chute might hit the fan. Now, last week we pre-fit all the mechanical stuff for the convertible top. Now, it's not that it's a difficult job, it's just really time consuming. So I'm not going to tear it out to show you how to put it all in, but I will show you how it works. A small electric motor turns a hydraulic pump, which creates flow that activates both the cylinders to raise and lower the top. Now, it just fell right into place, no major alignment issues. But the cover, that's a whole different story. It's got to be on there nice and tight so there's no wrinkles. So you got to push and pull just to get it to look right. So you might want to do what I'm going to do and go find an upholstery guy. And you're going to have him do something else for you because nobody's repopping seats. So you're going to have to go out, get yourself a good set of used ones, and then you just can't have them covered. Let me show you why. Because they don't fit. So that only means one thing. It's time for some modifications. Now, all I got to do, because these tubs take up so much room, is measure out where I want my seat to go, and it's time for some fun. Now, I'm going to have to take a full 6 inches out of this seat. And these corners here are really hard to recreate, and so is this middle part. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to take some out of here, and I'm going to have to take some out of here. With the end pieces in place, I can confirm how big the center should be. This is some thin metal you're working with here. I prefer a TIG welder because I can control the heat a little bit better. Now, how's that for flying by the seat of your pants? Let's see if this baby fits. I knew it would. Now it's the same thing for the back of the seat, and then it's off to the upholstery shop. Now we can finish the rest of the interior. Outside of a little trimming, everything is pretty much an easy fit. We had a whole bunch of options for the front seats, but we kept it stock with new skins for some old originals. To avoid a common mistake, door handles on before the windows. The door glasses are breeze to find. The rear quarters are a little bit more difficult. However, they're both tedious and time consuming to put in. Now, 80% of these parts came from year one. We did, however, have to get some parts from some other vendors. Rick's first generation Camaro, Classic Industries, Covan, and Autometer. There you have it. The interior is about 90% done. Now, I missed some stuff because there's a lot of parts here, and that's okay. So keep a list as you go along. If I'm half as lucky on the exterior, you'll see this baby rolling down the road.
Coming up on MuscleCar, the Crate Camaro hits the street. And next, we're going to see a rare Mopar that was born to burn rubber.
Today we're going to look at a car that's from my neck of the woods, the Bronx, New York. Back in the day, we had some ridiculous ridiculous street racing going on, and this one was right up front. 69 Hemi Super B. It was born to run.
Today's muscle car flashback, the 69 Hemi Super B.
This is not just any old muscle car. This one is a warrior. Colin Comer's 69 Super B was a street racer from day one, a stripped-down predator with only one purpose in mind.
The guy that bought it wanted to go street racing in the Bronx, and he was 21 years old, and this was his idea of the ultimate street car.
All this thing did was street fight. Today, this rare Hemi only has 4,000 miles on it, and it got most of those one light at a time. Nobody has any record of how many street fights it won, but even today, you can make some pretty good guesses. The Hemi option was expensive, nearly a quarter of the price of the whole car, so they didn't make too many of these. Only 38 4-speed Hemi hardtops were built in '69. No options but the Hemi and the driveline that went in it. The heavy-duty 4-speed, a 410 gear in the Dyno 60. Nothing to make it look better, everything to make it go faster. The double-scoop Ram Charger hood came standard on the Hemis, and they needed it to let that massive engine breathe. Side scoops right behind the doors were optional, but they were just for show. Super Bs looked like two-door taxi cabs, and that's pretty much what they were. Plain B bodies with just a little chrome around the wheel wells, fat Super B stripe across the rear quarters. Dog dish hubcaps on the standard F70 15s finish off that plain yet simple look. Chrysler said the whole package was meant expressly for those interested in sanctioned drag racing. Yeah, right. Running the streets was about as legal as this one ever got. Burning the tires light to light and listening to those two cars moving some air. Even big-time Mopar guys like Colin gotta admit, Chrysler didn't build the tightest bodies back then. But then when those Hemis were up front, who cares? It's all about that straight line.
You accept it for what it is, and when you get on the throttle and you run it through 4 gears, you kind of forget about the squeaks and rattles, and when you hit a bump, it does the two-step. It's all secondary to the performance and the image and the way they were.
Now, it is possible that this thing could operate in a less hostile environment. Not that you want to do so. This car wasn't exactly meant for comfort. It's basically a plain Jane wrapper for the Hemi. Bench seat, hard springs, basic gauges. Just look at that, 4,000 miles on it. Colin's Super B every now and then gets a nice drive through the park. But it's not really happy unless it's going all out. Sometimes a little street fight is just too much to resist.
Once in a while you get some kid in a Honda who wants to run and give him a good lead, and then you can go by him and show him what muscle was like 30 years ago.
You could say it was about like that. Get in a Honda. Yeah, right. I'm getting back on the Camaro.
We're taking the Camaro on a shakedown cruise. Next on Muscle Car.
Hey, come on, hurry up and sit down. We're gonna finish this thing today, but let me tell you what we've done so far. We customized our own exhaust, finished up enough wiring to fire it up, customized the rear seat, and got the convertible top working and completed the interior. No wonder I'm tired, and I want to drive this thing today, and we're getting close, but there's still a few things that I gotta get done. With the wiper mechanisms installed, the cowl can finally go on. And of course you'll need these to wipe the drool off from those onlookers. Since this is a year one project, we let them choose the wing. This one's originally for a '69 Trans Am. I think it works. With the side markers and taillights in place, this shiny new repop bumper completes the rear. Oh yeah, the trunk lock and the bow tie I forgot to order, which is on my list. With the exception of the emblem in the back, all I'm putting on for chrome is this rearview mirror. You know, the minimalist approach. Less is more. Well, it's time to put a face on this thing. But before I do that, I gotta tell you guys something. When you get your wiring harness from Painless, They don't send you any pigtails, and the reason is because they assume that you're rewiring your car and there's an existing wiring harness. Well, that's not the case with this. So what we had to do is call Classic Industries, and they sent us every pigtail for this application. And let me tell you, there was a lot of them. Now, we could have gone with the hideaway headlights that came on the RSSS package, but here too we decided to keep with the less is more theory, so the standard grille got the nod. Well, the last thing left to do is dial the transmission in. This 4L60E, being that it's electronically controlled, will actually allow us to marry this transmission to the car. But we got to give it a little bit of information. Tire size, rear end gear size, number of cylinders, and then we're good to go. And we push it no more. This car took a lot of time and effort, and at times was a little frustrating. You know, like any major project, but it was well worth it. It's handling well, it drives well, it even feels very solid. Now, Dynacorn will be launching a new body this fall. It's a 70 Mustang Fastback. So all you Mustang lovers, you better start looking for a parts car. Time to give Year One back all their parts, except for now it's a car. Because what they're gonna do is they're gonna take it on the show circuit so everyone can see it. After that, they're gonna give it to one of you guys. So what you need to do is check our website, check their website to find out how to enter and how to win this thing. Until then, I'm driving with the top down. Later.
Okay, this week we've got a viewer's ride that will blow your socks off. Dale Simpson paid $25 for the 76 Olds 442 hardtop. $5 grand, and a year later, it's now an immaculate custom convertible. And what's amazing, this is Dale's first project ever, including the first paint job. Remember, what we're looking for in a great Courtney's pick are those terrific stories with a before and after picture.
Special edition of Xtreme 4x4, where we've taken the show on the road, so to speak.
But in a way, it's kind of like a homecoming for both of us. This week, we're working at Wyotech in Sacramento, California.
Before we launched Xtreme 4x4, I attended Wyotech, where I was trained in custom body and paint, chassis fabrication, high-performance engines, all the skills that pay the bills.
You look pretty studious there, Jess.
Thanks, haven't changed.
And before I came to build awesome rigs at Xtreme 4x4, I was teaching high school auto shop and custom fabrication in a technical high school. So that leads us to what we're doing here today.
We're going to turn this 82 solid axle Toyota long bed into a competition rock crawler, but we won't be the ones building it.
That job goes to this group of soon-to-be Wyotech graduates.
This Sacramento campus is an 80,000 square foot facility offering a wide range of courses in the automotive field. And our young builders are hand-picked with perfect attendance and are at the top of their class in chassis fabrication. What your guys' job is this week is to build this truck. You have all the options. Ian and I are just here to help you out. You have the rules, which we've just gone over, so you know what you can and cannot do.
The final crawl ratio of this whole thing is 148 to 1. And if you do the math off that, when the motor's at 3,500 RPM, you're doing 2.5 miles per hour. Slow.
Now let's get at it. Are you guys ready to take a look? This is it, guys, a Formula Toy Spec Class Rock Crawler. But it's not just any Spec Class crawler. This is last season's Formula Toy Champion, driven by Lisa Linker and built and maintained by her husband, Eric, better known as Camo.
All right, guys, we talked about it in the classroom, and this is it, Formula Toy rock crawling. Now, it's pop quiz time, so who can tell me what the 3 basic principles of Formula Toy are?
It's affordability, safety, and dependability.
Perfect, that's right. That's what it's all based around. Now, knowing that,
What do you got to start with? This is obviously a spec class, so it's got rules. What do we have to start with? What base vehicle?
You need a Toyota truck.
What kind of truck?
A pickup truck, 4Runner, FJ.
Basically any Toyota.
Any Toyota.
So what kind of things do you have to leave in there that have to still be Toyota to compete in this class?
The engine, the axles, and the frame have to stay Toyota.
What about transmission, transfer case, all that kind of
Transmission, transfer case also.
We divided the guys into groups, and each group will be responsible for a modification on a different area of the truck. Let's take a look. Group 1, engine placement. Group 2 will build the axles. The third group is responsible for the transmission and our dual transfer case setup. This group has got the chassis, body panels, and seats. And our last group will be in charge of the suspension, tires, and wheels. And before any fabrication happens, we gotta tear down our donor.
This 1982 solid axle Toyota will be the beginning of our formula toy.
Ready, guys? Yeah, all right.
All right, guys, as you've probably learned by now, rock crawling is a sport that comes down to inches and axles. So we're gonna take these two front axles and we're gonna do something a little bit different with them. We gotta strip them down and basically armor plate the bottom side of them. And we're gonna be eliminating this fill plug on the bottom side of both axles. If we rip that out, it's all over. Now, you guys met Dave from Poly Performance yesterday. He was nice enough to deliver this axle right here. Now, this is an axle out of an IFS truck. It's a newer model and it's 3 inches wider. The rules say we can still use that axle because it's originally a Toyota part, and we can take all the guts out of this one and put it in that one. We've got to gut these things down, clean them up, plate them, and then we can start putting some internals in them. Any questions at all? See how easy that is? Get to work.
As you can see, the Wildtech students are well on their way to making that a rolling chassis by the end of the day. And after the break, we'll get to take a look at what's going to power our Xtreme Wild Crawlers.
All right, let's see what's in the old mailbox this week. This one is from Steve Ortner, the owner of Mountain Machine in Belleville, Michigan. He writes to Xtreme 4x4. Jesse, my 15-year-old daughter's name is also Jessie, and you are her hero. It's not often a dad has something in common with his teenage daughter, but your show has brought us closer together. You've proven to her that you can be a girly girl and still get your hands dirty. Keep it up, you guys are the coolest. Thanks, Steve, and we're sending out an autographed photo from our Jessie to your Jessie.
We're back on Xtreme as we come to you from Wildtech's Sacramento campus. Now, these students are getting one heck of a final exam. Build a truck, but not just any truck.
This rig is a formula toy, a full tube competition crawler that is excellent on the trail while providing the ability to run in sanctioned competitions against other formula toys. And with our donor now stripped to the bare frame, they can begin planning exactly how they're going to make this rig come together.
All right, guys, you've got it sitting on the chassis. Now, how are you going to mount it to it? You don't know yet?
Could have welded it.
2 inches. Of course, we're not going to let these guys make any mistakes. Jesse and I are here to teach as well as supervise. And of course, pitch in. All this stuff will be stripped. We'll strip this down to a 100% bare tube housing. Then we'll go ahead on this side. This is the fill plug we were looking at before.
Yeah.
We'll shave that off. We'll build armor up here like this to protect that front.
Okay.
And we'll just take the plate and put it right along the bottom of the diff so it rolls over. We'll do all the welding here with the actual third member piece bolted in place to keep the thing from distorting. All right, with these axle guys well underway, let's see what Jesse's got planned for the engine.
All right, now that the chassis is taking shape, it's time for us to start figuring our engine placement and our motor mounts, right? Since our donor engine is pretty much shot, we want a capable comp rig, we're gonna need a little bit better engine than this. So we went to LC Engineering for a Stroker Stage 2 22R engine. So this thing dynos out over 120 horsepower and 150 foot-pounds of torque.
Doesn't seem like a whole lot of power.
But you gotta look at it this way. Stock Toyota engine has about 80 to 93 horsepower, so we're giving it about a 40% advantage, right? So if you compare it to like a big block with 300 horsepower and we give it 500 horsepower, that's a 40% advantage. Now, just because we're starting with smaller numbers, this is gonna be huge when it comes to this engine.
How do you get that much power?
Do you wanna hand me that intake manifold over there? LC Engineering spent probably over 8 hours porting and polishing these manifolds and the heads, so we have a port match, and it's gonna give us beautiful airflow.
Earlier, our transmission team tore down the stock setup, as well as prepped our top loader gear cases for the doubler. Having an automatic transmission in a rock crawler is obviously a huge advantage, but nobody until now has figured out how to fit the stronger gear drive top shift transfer case behind one of these things. Now, Jim was here from Inchworm Rock Walk and Gear, and he has his new system for us, so what did you guys learn from him?
All right, well, this is our original four-wheel drive automatic transmission, and we learned that it's pretty much the exact same as the automatic from the two-wheel drive. So what we did is we took our original transfer case, gutted that all out, and we took the parking pole and installed it with a shorter rod, just like it would be in the two-wheel drive.
So the transmission's now taken care of. Now what about what happens next?
All right, now we have this adapter thing, which allows us to put the 21-spline manual drive gearbox to the automatic transmission, which is a 23-spline. We do that via this coupler here. Through this transfer case, we had to modify this output shaft to go through the doubler here into the crawler box.
And we get to the crawler box. What's different about that?
Well, this is from Advanced Adapters, and it's been clearanced in here to fit the larger 4.7-to-1 gear ratio, and we went ahead and installed the 4.0-to-1.
In the back. Now the cool thing is Advanced Adapters, this is also one of the very first one that's come off the shelf. And Advanced Adapters is going to be able to sell these things in the future with all the rails and rods, so when you go to do a doubler setup like this, you're not going to have to source a secondary transfer case. So you guys have some great one-off, first ever parts here. You've learned a lot. Now let's put it together.
Stay tuned. More Xtreme 4x4 after this brief timeout.
Bring the axle down a little bit.
We're back on Xtreme, where our 22 apprentices are working feverishly to finish stage 1 of our Formula Toy project. There are no instruction manuals here. These guys get to choose how it will all come together.
Over on our Hendrix chassis, these guys designed some additional bracing and down tubes to protect our rear passengers. Then walked the whole thing down to the street rod department, where these hand-picked characters were assigned the job of fabbing up some body panels.
With chassis fab and street rod kind of go hand in hand with each other. When you think of doing work on a car or building a complete car, you hear the term ground up restoration. It is just that. You have to start with the ground up, and the ground in a car is going to be the chassis and the drivetrain, and you work your way up to the rest of the car.
The adapter and doubler setup will bolt up directly to the back of the automatic. The bearings will need to be pressed into the adapter, then the entire assembly can be bolted together. This will allow the crawler multiple gearing options and a final crawl ratio of over 144 to 1.
We just put these down tubes in here, and to have some extra strength, we put some gussets. Well, I decided to make these gussets really cool, so we took some extra large drill bits and drilled a whole bunch of different size holes. Went up one size on each drill bit and chamfered each hole just to give it some extra cool.
All right, Will, let's see what you got here, man. All right, well, you got a pile of welding on the inside to take care of, but by the time you grind this all down, I'm sure that piece is gonna look great, man. Good job. All right, so the rear axle armor's taken care of. Now let's take a look at the front. How you guys doing back here?
We're doing all right.
All right, good stuff. Now, we were here a little while ago, and there was a bunch of work already done. What happened with that?
We didn't like the look of it, so we decided to change our design, take a different approach.
All right, that was this thing here, you just cut it off?
Yeah.
All right, that's cool, man. Keep going.
Right now, our frame's coming together pretty well. We got our front cross member in. It's all welded together. We got supports going in for strength. Right now, Corey is finishing our front spring mounts. And after he's through welding this one, we're gonna put supports in here, all the way down to the center line of the spring mount. And that's gonna give us extra strength for climbing over those rocks.
Basically, the trick about lining all this up is you want to level it out, square it up, measure it out. You want to make sure all your measurements have been done 3 or 4 times.
Oh, where are we? All right, we're doing well. We've got pretty much all the really hardcore fab done on the chassis. We've got the engine together, the transfer cases together, the transmission together. All that has to do now is all little groups that have been working. They just got to take all those pieces and slam them into one rock crawler.
Let's start taking your measurements. Make sure this thing's in here center. Start taking your measurements for your mounts from the frame out.
After the break,
An hour's worth of work that needs to be done in 55 minutes. Go.
our Xtreme apprentices pull double duty in order to finish the day with a rolling chassis.
This is what it's like to host overhauling. All right, you guys are under the gun, and it's almost midnight, and you better get it done. I'll be over here having Red Bull. All right, George, you took on this ring gear install. What do you got going on?
Well, this one's ready to go. The backlash's good on it. We took apart the old one. We're about to install the superior ring and pinion onto our Detroit locker, which is a really reliable locker for rock crawling.
Here's your third member, Brock. Now, you spent time with Dave from Poly Performance. What did he tell you about all these Toyota axles?
All right, well, the first thing he explained to me is that this neck down here on the stock Toyota axle is one of the first places that they tend to break. Also, there's a snap ring groove at the bottom. It's the second most common place to break. So on these 4340 chrome Ollie ones that we got sent from Poly Performance, they eliminated the neck down and they increased the size for the snap ring to sit.
Hi, I'm Kyle, and this is Joe, and we're going to talk wheels and tires.
These are Pro Comp Xtrames and are specifically designed for rock crawling. They've got functional side biters, 3-ply sidewalls, and the new Xtreme traction compound will stick to anything.
And for wheels, we went with top-of-the-line beadlocks from Walker Evans. Most beadlocks have a welded outer ring, but Walker casts his outers right into the wheel itself. You just need a little muscle to get them together.
With the drivetrain in between the frame rails, we can check the clearances for the tube chassis, we can make our cross members, we can finish our leaf spring mounts. Basically, this is the moment where things start working a lot faster.
Yeah.
I feel sorry for the big boys that have to get in here. It's like the villain stone. Yeah.
The front, bring the front down a little bit to line up in here. You should be all set.
Go. How does it look, guys?
Good. Good.
Now he needs a floor.
Yeah, we'll come off the front of the knuckle, we'll pitch them back, and we'll cover the inside of that tube.
We are so close to being done, we can taste it.
Whoa, whoa, we got a wheel off. There it is, man. go, man. 22 students, a pile of tools, a formula toy built at YO Tech.
That's right, these guys worked their tails off, and now they have a competition buggy they can be proud of. And to make their mark, these guys are gonna sign a panel, prove all the work that they did, because in a few weeks, we're gonna have a whole different group that's gonna finish this thing with the plumbing and the wiring. They're gonna make this thing run. So for now, we're gonna leave this buggy here at the Sacramento campus for everybody to take a look at when they come and visit.
And in all seriousness, guys, I think you guys need to take a lot of credit for this because, well, number one, you did all the work, and number two, the work that you guys did, honestly, it's phenomenal, guys. Like, seriously, it's one of the best things I've seen built while outside of our shop.
We'll see you later.
Guys, it's 2 weeks before New Year's, but we are already amping up for 2007. More shows, more builds, more parts means more action. And starting in January, Spike is doubling the PowerBlock with different shows airing on Saturday and different shows airing on Sunday. That means twice the tech for a gearhead fix. It's time to add some more life into a tired old 53 F100. Here's Trucks.
Today, it's more Project Old School. Big new power up front means it's time to upgrade the rear end gears. Then, we're making our own custom exhaust and test fitting our new bed and body panels. Finally, we'll pick the perfect wheel and tire combo. It's all here today on Trucks.
Hey, welcome to Trucks and the rejuvenation of our 53 F100. We're keeping the classic look of the truck, but throwing some old school hot rod style at it.
When we started, we'd found someone in the past had welded on a 69 Nova front clip. Now, they did a really good job, so we decided to keep it and add an air suspension that'll ride great and handle even better.
Besides, this is not going to be a nut and bolt restoration. This is going to be more of a street rod.
For power, we bolted a cool-looking Edelbrock top-end kit on an O'Reilly small block bottom end. This should be good for an easy 440 horses.
Now, with all that new muscle up front, a stock rear end can be a weak link. But the good news is that under the bed, we found a GM 10-bolt rear end with an 8.5-inch ring gear. Now, this is a good start, but we can't leave it alone. It's an open differential, which means power only gets to one wheel at a time. Plus, it's a 308 gear, which is better for the highway than hot rodding.
Not only that, we told Boulder we wanted to match their tranny with a 373 gear ratio for better acceleration.
So we went to Superior Axle and Gear and picked up their 373 ring gear and pinion set. We also picked up a rebuild kit that comes with gaskets, bearings, spacers, shims, ring gear bolts, a new crush sleeve, everything you need to rebuild your rear end. Then we put in a call to Auburn and got one of their high-performance limited slip differentials. Now, you know when you go around a corner, your wheels need to turn at different speeds. That's because the outside wheel covers more ground and has to turn faster. A limited slip uses clutches on the inside to allow one wheel to slip for really smooth cornering, while at the same time is allowing big power to both rear wheels under acceleration on a straight road. Now, after you get the cover off the rear end, be sure and check for water or metal shavings in your gear loop, because if you got those, you got bigger problems. First, unbolt the main caps, then extract the cross shaft bolt, the cross shaft, and then the spider gears. With the spider gears out, the C-clips come out next with a little bit of help from an extra set of hands. Hit it, Paul. Ready?
Yeah, ready. Go pull it. There you go. Ah, nice and clean. All right. After you get the carrier out, keep track of where your shims go. These will need to go back in the same location. You may have to use a little force to get the pinion out, but after that, you're ready to move on.
The first thing we're going to do is press a new bearing onto our new pinion. Slide the shim into place, and then the bearing. And here's a trick. Take your old bearing, cut the cage off, turn it upside down, and it automatically becomes a perfect seat to press your new bearing in place without damaging the cage or the rollers.
Then we'll press the new bearings on our differential. And if you don't have a press, you can go to a machine shop and they'll do it for you. Back at the truck, we'll add a new race, a new bearing, and a new seal to the rear end housing. And be sure to slip the crush sleeve on the pinion before it goes in and the yoke goes on. As you tighten the pinion nut, you'll collapse the crush sleeve, so stop and check for play as you tighten. Stop when you feel almost no play on the yoke.
Now the crush sleeve we put on our pinion acts like a spring. It preloads the bearing. You don't want it too tight, you don't want it too loose. So we're going to measure it with an inch-pound torque wrench, zeroed out, and we'll give it one rotation to measure the correct drag of the bearing, or the preload of the bearing. And right there, 25 inch-pounds. That's just about perfect.
Slide the ring gear onto the differential and torque the ring gear bolts to 70 foot-pounds. With the new differential in place, don't forget to replace the original shims. Then bolt your main caps back in place and torque them down. We'll use a dial indicator to check the 3 plate between the pinion and the ring gear. You want to see between 8 and 12 thousandths clearance to allow for gear expansion and lubrication. Some gear paint on the teeth will help you make sure the pinion gear meshes in the center of the ring gear.
There it is.
Finally, reinstall your axles, C-clips, and your cross shaft.
With our new gears and posi in place, we can button this rear end up. But our old dry shaft is not going to fit with a new, longer bowler transmission, so we're going to take measurements for a new one while we're on the break.
And when we get back, we're going to make a custom exhaust just for our F100 old school. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to Trucks and our clipped, slamming, jamming 53 F100 that we've nicknamed Old School. We've just converted our 10-bolt rear end from a peg leg burnout king to a fully automatic limited slip setup. Now we're at one of the easiest steps, bolting on the exhaust.
But what do you do when you got a truck like ours? It's got a Nova Clip, full GM running gear under the facade of a Ford F100. There is no bolt-on kit. Well, that's when you got to rely on good old-fashioned hot rodding and your own ingenuity. So we decided to go with MagnaFlow's stainless steel universal hot rod system. It comes with these mandrel bent sections that allow you to create pretty much any angle that you want, collectors, sections of straight pipe, and all the mounting hardware that you need. Now MagnaFlow also offers accessories like these stainless tips to cap off your system, and these high-flow mufflers that, with a stainless steel finish, are going to look as good as they sound. And we're getting the best of both worlds with Sanderson's ceramic-coated cast iron exhaust headers for great airflow and good heat dissipation. There's several things you need to be aware of when you're routing a custom exhaust system. The first thing is ground clearance. So if we route our pipes here above the lowest point of this crossmember, we're going to be fine. Now you also want to be aware of your steering linkage. You want to make sure you can go peak to peak or lock to lock turns without any interference to your drag link or your tie rod ends. And as you can see, it's a pretty tight squeeze in here. From the header, we'll make a down tube and work our way back. And this 90-degree bend from the kit is a perfect place to start. We've tacked our whole right bank section in place with a MIG welder right up until here where the muffler connects. Now I could go ahead and finish this seam with the MIG, but the problem with that is that it's a regular steel wire and it'll eventually rust. This is stainless steel tubing, so what we're going to do is take a TIG and go ahead and do a nice fusion weld on this seam and make it one continuous piece. Now Now this is the finished pipe section. It's going to look great sitting up underneath the truck. And one thing's for sure, that this joint looks better than this big old pipe clamp sitting on top of it. Now obviously this represents a significant investment in time smoothing out these welds, but we're going to show you just exactly how we got there. Now I'm going to start out with the DA sander set to spin using 220 grit paper. Now all I'm trying to do is level out this fusion weld, which is already pretty level to start with. Now I'll use another piece of 220 and I'll sand this way in a back and forth or linear fashion. Next, we switch to a red scuffing pad, which is equal to about 600 grit. And look at that. With 3 steps, you can make a huge difference. Makes a beautiful satin stainless steel finish.
All right, we've got our mufflers installed. Now, we could install these really nice tips, but there's only one problem. It's blowing the hot exhaust right into our airbags, and that's not good. So what we decided to do was take some extra pipe from our kit and make our own special turndowns. This avoids all that hot exhaust blowing into our airbags.
With our exhaust system finished up, our drivetrain pretty much in place, now we can finally pay attention to this 50-year-old bodywork, starting with what's missing here, the bed. Maybe even make a few improvements, so stick around.
Up next, we're adding a brand new bed and some big fat fenders worthy of Project Old School.
Hi, welcome back. We are so close to reaching our goal of making Old School a really cool daily driver, and it's going to turn a lot of heads. Now, we finished the exhaust and the driveline. Now it's time to work on the old body.
Like this bed, for instance. From 10 feet away, it looks pretty good, but you get a little closer, it gets a little rougher. So we decided to wipe the slate clean and get a brand new bed kit from Pro's Pick. It's almost an identical version of the original Ford bed with the rolled sides. It's epoxy primed, ready for paint, and very straight. Pro's Pick also has original looking tailgates, but we wanted a custom look, so we got their flat gate with the cool hidden latches and straps. We're also going to use their LED lights that fit into the bed rolls and really clean up the look of the back of this truck. We want to put some serious tires under the back of this truck and tuck them up underneath the fenders while we got it laid out. Yeah, you can widen the stock steel fenders, but you're setting yourself up for a ton of work. Well, Bebops has been making quality replacement parts for these trucks for a long time, and they've come up with these cool 3-inch wider F100 fenders that'll fit your stock truck as well as our Pro's Pick bed.
But here's the problem. Where do you start? I mean, there's no holes drilled. This is not the original bed. We don't even have brackets to help us even get close to where we're supposed to be.
But you got to start somewhere. So you want to find a common point of reference, something that ties the new panels to the old panels. And on this truck, it's this paint line. We know for certain that the old fender went right up against there. So we'll take our new panel, lay it up in place, right up where the other one was, and we'll clamp this guy in place and work our way back.
Next, we're going to snug our new running boards up against our fenders where we know they're going to fit.
With those running boards in place, now come the rear fenders. Bebops makes both panels, and they've done a real nice job of helping us out here with this relief cutter, this notch that's molded into the fender, and it sits right on the running board. It shows us exactly where that rear fender goes on the front. Well, as you can see, the new bodywork looks great, but it just shows us how bad we need some new wheels and tires. Man.
Now that's an understatement. Well, we'll take care of that when we get back from the break. So don't go anywhere. Let's take this one right here.
Fat fenders need fat tires.
Mopar.
That's fat spelled P-H-A-T.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back to Trucks. Today, we've turned a major corner on Project Old School with new rear gears, stainless steel exhaust, and some brand new body panels. Now we can finally start to pay attention to details like attitude and stance. And a major part of that is a new set of wheels and tires.
No matter what size tire we decide to go with, we still want to get that retro vibe. So we decided to go with Coco tires. As you can see, not only do they remanufacture vintage wheels and tires for antique vehicles, but they make tires with the latest technology that still have a retro style. But before you pick one out, you need to know what your backspace and your offset is.
So why is backspace and offset important? Well, you don't want your tires to rub the inside of the wheelhouse or the inside of your fender lip, and backspace is what helps determine where that wheel sits inside your wheelhouse. Here's how you measure backspacing. Take a straight edge and lay it across the bead of your wheel, preferably without a tire on it so you get a true and accurate measurement. Then you take a tape measure from the back of the wheel flange to the bottom of the straight edge. And you can see we've got a 5 1/4 inch backspace on this rim. Now offset is the relationship of the back of this flange to the center of the wheel. We've got a 9-inch wheel, so our center point is 4 1/2 inches. Now we already know we've got a 5 1/4 inch backspace, which is right here. So our offset is 3/4 of an inch. Positive offset means the hub is kicked to the outside. Negative offset is the hub is kicked to the inside. This is obviously kicked to the outside, so we've got a 3/4 inch positive offset. Now you're going to need to know this when you're figuring out just how much wheel and tire you can fit under your fender. And I'll show you an easy way to do that. Start by taping a plumb line to the inside edge of the wheelhouse and another one to the outside edge. Now we can take a measurement, and that shows us that we've got 13 inches of clearance to play with. If you subtract a 1/2 inch off either side for sidewall clearance, we could fit a 12-inch wide tread up in there. Now I've also attached the straight edge to the hub flange, and with our 1/2 inch of clearance, that tells us so we can have a maximum of 5 inches of backspace with our new wheels. No, you're right.
That thing is butt ugly. Not bad.
Not enough backspace. Paul. Mopar.
Now we're getting close.
Yeah.
Now I'm getting really psyched, because you can see what this truck's going to look like. Super cool.
So we can start massaging some life back into the body and then focus on some style.
Now that's a great idea. Wow. Nowadays, it seems like everything's going digital, and that includes your torque wrench. This is Matco Tools' new electronic torque wrench. All you do is just set the torque level you want. We'll pick about 30 pounds in our case. The digital display shows you the torque, and a yellow LED lets you know when you're close. The green LED and beep tells you you're on target. And if you go over, well, it'll tell you that too. It's available in a 3/8 inch, 100 foot-pound model and a 1/2 inch, 250 foot-pound model. You can own your own Matco electronic torque wrench by going to matcotools.com, and it's only gonna run you about 360 bucks.
As much as we love our trucks, sometimes traction can be a problem, especially with an empty bed. There's just not enough weight over the rear axle. So you can throw a bunch of stuff in the back like sandbags or cinder blocks, but under hard braking or cornering, your load can shift around and bang the heck out of the sides, beat it all up. Well, here's a great solution to that. This is the SureTrax. It's a super strong, heavy-duty bladder that you fill with water, and it lays in the bed of your truck, adding about 350 pounds of evenly distributed weight over the rear tires. Baffling keeps the water from sloshing around, and you can still use the bed to haul stuff, because you can throw over 500 pounds on top of this thing and not damage it. The full-size version of this SureTrax goes for about 150 bucks. And if you need to add weight to the back of your truck, this is a great way to go. Hey, thanks for watching Trucks. See you next week.
A big thank you to Mr. Cylinder Head Joe Mondello for sharing some of his trade secrets and his killer muscle wagon. Now the holidays are coming up, and we've got free presents for you waiting online. Go to PowerBlockTV.com and click on downloads for videos, pictures, and more. Later, guys. More cool programming ahead coming up right here on Spike.